I am back with a premiere video on Nicki Minaj. So recently it was reported that Nicki Minaj came out stating that she is engaged, I guess, to her old flame. His name is Kenneth Zoo Patty. Zoo is his nickname. And they know each other from way back. Like she's known him since she was like 16. They used to date when they were young. So I'm going to get into her chart, but mainly focusing on her relationship profile because she did receive some flack, especially from some women who were questioning her relationship choice in Kenneth Petty because Kenneth Petty is a registered sex offender. He also spent time in prison for manslaughter, and also I think he had an attempted murder charge. So people are, questioning her decision making with respect to Kenneth. Kenneth doesn't have any money. Nicki has all the money. So some people are saying that, yeah, well, Nicki used to have these songs where she was talking about, getting with these men with money and stuff. So Nicki has recently responded to the backlash, and I'll be reading some of her quotes and all that type of stuff. So feel free to add your input as you listen to this video. I have an extensive slideshow prepared for you. I'm going to try to get through the whole thing, but if I have to do a part two, that's what I'll do. But I will try to get through the whole thing in one shot. So here's Nicki Minaj's chart. She was born December 8th, 1982. That 8 is very good in terms of business, very good in terms of her professional life in general. That 8 is very much about recognition, reputation, material success. But that 8 can produce loneliness, depression, and it can be very hard in terms of love. Her life path number is 31 and 4. That's not really easy in terms of love as well. Now, her 8 birth number is very reflective of this Capricorn energy that she has in her chart, especially considering the fact that she has that Capricorn South Node. So that's the underlying reason why she got with Kenneth, because Capricorn is prone to get with someone who they've built a history with or who they have history with. Capricorn is very nostalgic when it comes to the past. So this is the underlying reason right here why she got with Kenneth. The 12th house placement of her South Node points to Kenneth being incarcerated. And there was a good chance that she was talking to him while he was locked down, probably writing him and all that type of stuff. Now, this video is very fitting for Leo season because I'm talking about her relationship profile, and she has Leo in the 7th house. So Leo is ruling her 7th house, and it's all of Leo, as you can see. It starts at 34 minutes, and it just spans her whole 7th, and then Virgo begins at that 3rd degree. So she has mostly Leo energy in her 7th house, which I'll get into, but this is very fitting for Leo season. So here they are right here. This is a shot from one of her videos that he was in. So she claims to be very much in love with Kenneth, and she claims that she's found happiness, all that stuff, which is very indicative of Leo on the 7th. So let's get into her 7th house. So she has the 0 degree of Leo, just 34 minutes on the 7th house cusp. That's pure Leo energy. So here are some of the possible manifestations or meanings of Leo when it's ruling the 7th. So a relationship or marriage that's full of fun, recreation, date nights, and good sex. That's on the positive end. She could have a very outwardly loving and affectionate mate, and he looks like he is like that. Happiness can be found through partnership, relationship, marriage. She could have a very protective and openly demonstrative partner, so he could be openly demonstrative of affection or attraction. A marriage or partnership could be based upon true love. Now, with Leo on the 7th, she could marry a powerful man, a man who is a boss, a leader, mover and shaker, baller, etc. Now, Kenneth really doesn't fit that bill. So you have to look at the underbelly of Leo on the 7th, or the dark manifestation of Leo on the 7th. And I'm not, trying to dog him out straight from the gate, but we know that he spent significant time in prison. We know that he is registered as a sex offender, and he really hasn't created anything. And he's now, there was this website where they were saying that he was this music executive of some type of little record label or something, but y'all let me know if y'all ever heard of this dude being connected with the music industry. Now, the flip side of Leo on the 7th, well, I'm gonna get to in a minute, but here she is right here. So she wrote, "You hoes, I guess should say need. You hoes need to wake up and realize this. It's the truth. Money cannot buy me happiness and good sex." So here it is right here. She's basically speaking her Leo on the 7th, the happiness and the good sex. So that's what she's really in it to win it for. Now, partner or spouse could be a man child. That's the flip side of Leo on the 7th. So instead of attracting a boss, a leader, a powerful man, she could attract a man child instead. So Kenneth fits the man child description more so than the powerful man when you're talking about Leo on the 7th. And I'm sure a lot of you would agree with me. Now, a partner may already have children. I don't know if he has children, but that could be a possible manifestation of Leo on the 7th. Children may be a major theme of the relationship, i.e. getting married for the primary reason of having children. And she did mention having children. Legal issues involving children. So there's a possibility of custody or child support court. A partner could have a child outside of the marriage. So with that, you really want to look and see what the sun is doing. Sun, ruler of the 7th. A partner will want to maintain a large degree of independence while in the relationship or marriage. He still may want to play the field because Leo is one of the players of the zodiac. His ego could become problematic and he could become very willful. Sex could be a major theme, whether it is too much or too little, and she was quoted as saying that she needs it 3 times a day. Free will could be usurped by a partner. A partner could try to change the way you express yourself or your image. Happiness being contingent upon relationship or partner. Doing too much to keep a partner happy, but with her sun in Sagittarius, it may never be enough. Now, the sun is representing Kenneth. 7th house is representing Kenneth. And the sun in Sagittarius, it may never be enough, or he may take her generosity for granted. Viewing partner as an investment. There could be an imbalance of power. Also, Kenneth could be very jealous, territorial. So Nicki may always feel that she's in competition with others, or she may feel that Kenneth is always trying to be in competition with her. Now, here's another quote. "I think I had what I was striving for, just happiness. It was so hard to get to a happy place." So that's very much indicative of Leo on the 7th. And as you can see, it does look like he's very affectionate, look like he's very loving, very sexual. So she's definitely met her match in terms of at least the superficial qualities of Leo on the 7th. Here it is right here, Leo on the 7th, Sun in the 11th at the 16th degree of Sagittarius, which I'll get into in a minute. So, like I said, she has all that Capricorn energy in the 12th house. She's an Aquarius rising, Saturn and Scorpio as her chart ruler, Uranus and Sagittarius as her chart ruler as well. That Saturn and Scorpio, she's very much about maintaining control. That goes back to that Capricorn South node, her being an 8 birth number, control, control, control. So even if she's doing it in a passive aggressive way, which is indicative of that Mars in Capricorn in the 12th. She is very much about maintaining control and power. Now the sun, ruler of the 7th, this is representing Kenneth. So her sun is at the 16th degree of Sagittarius in her 11th house. That 16th degree, that points to Kenneth being incarcerated. Now, catastrophe is the key word for this degree. It can manifest as sacrifices that Nicki has to make on Kenneth's behalf. And also, he could have some addictions. 16 typically is not a very positive number. It's rather negative. As you can see, catastrophe is the key word. So he could be the source of some of her catastrophes in life. Lies, deception, and theft are some of the darker manifestations of 16. Illness and serious injury are others. Blind rage is possible because Sagittarius has a very hard time reining in their anger, has serious anger management issues. Can be indicative of a kept man. Now, if some of these sources are correct, his birth number is 7. And that can produce a kept man, or a man that doesn't mind being kept by a woman. Now his sun is in trine to Neptune, and that can produce a rather easy life where you really don't have to work hard. And that includes his time in prison, because you might be on some type of work detail, but you really ain't on a grind when you're in prison. Everything's provided for you, all that type of stuff. So that sun trine Neptune, is reflected of his birth number is 7, and it shows that he very well could be a kept man and be rather happy. His Nicki's sun is running parallel to her Neptune, and this reinforces all of the above regarding the number 16, because 16 corresponds to Neptune. So her attracting a man that's been incarcerated, but her also getting with men that are musically gifted, or they're artistic in some type of way. Her being in the music industry, attracting men in the music industry like Meek Mill. Who was that other one? Safari. Sun in Sagittarius means that freedom is very important to Kenneth, because remember, the sun is representing him. So he's in Aries, but the sun in Sagittarius in Nicki's chart is representing Kenneth. And both are fire signs, so it's not too far apart. Now, sun in Sagittarius means that freedom is very important to Kenneth, and he will have a hard time being tied down. It helps that Nicki is a Sagittarius, though, because Sagittarius will allow their partner a nice amount of space and freedom, typically. Now, he is a wild one with the sun in Sagittarius representing him. His nickname is Zoo. This is the interesting part about him. So that 16 even represents Zoo, because 16 corresponds to Neptune. Neptune rules Zoo. Now his sun in Aries, Aries represents names, is in trine to his Neptune. Neptune rules zoos. So there it is, his nickname being known as Zoo. And I'm looking at that sun trine Neptune, like he probably did okay in prison. Like he probably didn't really have a hard time. He probably adjusted rather well. Could have been very comfortable there. Now with Nicki's Capricorn South Node in the 12th house, you could look at that as her being like a warden or a zookeeper. So it's very telling that his nickname is Zoo. Like, you can't make this stuff up. She also has that 12th house Mars. So that could deal with attracting men that really belong in a zoo, or they belong in prison, or they're just wild like that. And one thing I wanted to mention with that Capricorn South Node in her 12th house, that brings a need for control, but she could do it in a passive way. She could do it in a clandestine or secretive way. She could do it in a way where she is being very devoted to this person in exchange for their full compliance, or what she wants to be their full compliance. But as you realize, when you really think about prisons and zoos, the warden of the prison, the zookeeper of the zoo has a false sense of control, because one false move and the inmates could take over the prison. It's happened before. Just research Attica. And or the wild animals could break loose and attack all the zoo employees, the zookeeper and all that stuff. So that's what I see as, happening with her Capricorn South Node in her 12th house. It's like she's a zookeeper or a warden of a prison, but it's a false sense of control because, again, one false move and boom, they break out. You're being overpowered. It's done. Now, her sun is conjoined to Venus. So again, with the sun representing Kenneth, this shows that he benefits from her money. And it shows where he could be spending her money very freely because this conjunction is in Sagittarius. And if she didn't have the dough, he most likely wouldn't be in this marriage or relationship. So this is definitely a come up for him. Now, his Venus is conjoined to Chiron and Taurus, which could deal with him being in a relationship that's mainly about the financial benefits and where he's the exception to the rule in that respect. Can also point to him having another woman on the side at times. So here they go again. I have him saying, yeah, I done came up. Because he has that look on his face. He just has that, I done came up. Yeah, this my bitch. She taking care of me, all that type of stuff. Like, I'm not used to this, but I'm loving it type shit. Moving along. So back to the sun. So the sun in the 11th house, that can produce a lovers and friends relationship. But it can also produce a relationship of convenience. So it's at, Kenneth's convenience, or where Kenneth is deriving the convenience. Now for Nicki, Kenneth is like a science project. That's how I'm looking at this with this 11th house sun ruling her 7th. So it's like she sees him as, either where she's a sculptor and she sees him as a lump of clay that she can mold into the ideal man, or she sees him as a science project where it's like, okay, let's see what happens when, he's given this wonderful life and all this type of stuff. I'm going to upgrade him and all this type of stuff. So again, going back to Nicki's Capricorn South Node, she does have this need for control, but with it in the 12th house, she's going about it in a secretive, passive way. Now, her sun is conjoined to the Arabic part of fatality. This is very interesting because her plans could backfire, where he's the cause of some of her misfortunes. Also, he may even lose his life, making her a widow if they really go through with the marriage because of what I see in his chart, which I'll get into in a minute. She also has her sun in semi-square to Saturn and Scorpio. That could deal with perhaps Kenneth getting caught up in a life-threatening circumstance, also getting caught up in more criminal charges. But what I really see this as, the lion tamer getting attacked by the lion. So remember I talked about the whole zookeeper motif. So Leo on the 7th, that represents the lion. And her Saturn in Scorpio, this is the lion her trying to tame the lion. But that semi-square is shown where she has a tenuous grip, where, if she takes her eye off the lion, next thing you know, all hell is breaking loose. She's being attacked. So that's how I'm seeing this sun semi-square Saturn and Scorpio in her chart. She's very much owning this Saturn and Scorpio because it's one of her chart rulers. Now, Kenneth has his sun in Aries opposing Pluto and Libra, and that can put him in life-threatening situations. That could deal with where he has some enemies that want to actually take him out, or that could take him out. It could also point to the possibility of more criminal charges. This also points to him being on that sex offender list. And it shows where he could potentially be abusive. This sun semi-square Saturn and Scorpio aspect, especially when you take into account that his sun in Aries is opposing Pluto and Libra. He could be compulsive to the point where he'll just snap on somebody. And next thing you know, he don't know what happened. And he's in handcuffs or worse. So he's a loose cannon, which explains his nickname Zoo. Now, Nicki's sun is running parallel to her South Node. So again, with the sun representing Kenneth, he may tarnish her reputation at some point. already her reputation, not reputation, but, she received that flack for, getting with him. But this also denotes a karmic relationship. He becomes her responsibility or job, reflects her 8 birth number. It can also just point to, that whole going way back. He's somebody from her past. They got history together, but I'm also seeing this as a karmic situation. Her sun is conjoined to Diana, and this could deal with Kenneth tracking Nicki down, or if we're talking about the sun representing Kenneth, someone could be tracking Kenneth down at some point, and he does have that sun opposition Pluto in his chart. Now, Nicki's sun is in semi-square with her ascendant. Her ascendant is conjoined to Altair, which is a fixed star that can cause her to be very willful, impulsive, and domineering. Now, I see this as Kenneth not being fully unified with Nicki due to his need to maintain his individuality and freedom. He will have problems with fully bending to her will. And again, I see this as the lion tamer who gets attacked by the lion, potentially. Here's her chart again, just to give you a pictorial representation. She got that 8th house moon, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Cancer on the 6th. She must help her family out a great deal. That could deal with where she feels indebted to her family. 5th house. So let's get into the 5th house, because the 5th house deals with love. It deals with romantic attraction, romantic affairs, sex, children. Now that 5th house, 7th degree, a Gemini is on the 5th house cusp. That 7th degree reinforces the themes of that sun at the 16th degree. She has some strong 7 energy in her chart. So the 5th and 7th house cusp is at the 7th degree of Gemini and Sagittarius respectively. I believe she has the 7th degree on other house cusp too. So that 7th degree represents the incarceration with Kenneth. Also points to sacrifice, savior theme, martyr theme, devotion, lies, secrecy, theft even. 7th degree also points to romantic partners who are in the music industry. 7th degree is also very much about fantasy. And Nicki has said that when she was younger, she lived in a fantasy world, as you'll see, as evidenced by her Mercury being conjoined to Neptune, as you'll see in a minute. Now, her Gemini on the 5th cusp points to her love for thugs. I call Gemini the thug of the zodiac. So I see Gemini on the 5th as like a Bonnie and Clyde type union. And she did have this line about her being Bonnie and him being Clyde in one of her recent songs. Now, it also can produce the going way back kind of love affair. So Gemini can deal with your school age years. Gemini can deal with where you are, that youthful type of love when it's on the 5th house, that teenage type of love. So she did know Kenneth since her youth. I believe she was dating him when she was 16 years old. Also, Gemini on the 5th can point to where she needs a lover who can easily relate to her, who speaks her language, so to speak. Now, love affairs are prone to ups and downs, on and off, with Gemini on the 5th. And she could be quite cool in terms of her affections, but she may say, I love you quite a bit, because Gemini on the 5th is about verbalizing love more so than being all touchy-feely. And she might be able to turn her love on and off like a faucet with that Gemini on the 5th. She did mention, I saw this video right before I recorded this video, where she was talking about that she wants sex 3 times a day, but she don't want no cuddling afterwards. And that is the epitome of Gemini on the 5th. She's very cerebral when it comes to love and sex. So here she is with the quote, "He declined to my Bonnie, about to walk down the aisle and be a mommy." So that's very Gemini on the 5th. That Gemini on the 5th also points to her being a rap artist as her claim to fame, because that 5th house deals with your claim to fame. So Gemini deals with rapping. Look at that. Look at that look on his face. I'm sorry. He just has that look. I know that look. And I know a lot of you females out there know what I'm talking about when I say he got that look. He got that dusty look. Even though he got money through her now, you still really can't get rid of all that dust. It's like really coming through, especially in some of these pictures. Now, a lover could engage in duplicity or double dealing with Gemini on the 5th. A lover could have a dual agenda, but so could she. Now, Gemini on the 5th can mean that Nicki is crafty when in love. Again, she's very cerebral when it comes to her approach to love. Very mental about it. Will scheme even. Now, she could also attempt to outwit her lover, so always try to stay one step ahead of the game. She could be torn between two loves at various times in her life. She could easily become bored in love affairs. And ex-boyfriends slash lovers are likely to come back into her life, just as with Kenneth. Too much mind, not enough heart. So that's what I was talking about with that Gemini on the 5th. So Mercury, ruler of the 5th house, is at the 26th degree of Sagittarius in her 11th house. That 26th degree is good for partnership. Well, it means partnership, but usually the type of partnership where there's some karmic debt that needs to be repaid or there's some serious challenges. There is a need to maintain one's individuality with that 26. 26 is good for business. It's good for one's professional life. This places her getting with men in the industry. It reflects her 8th birth number. Control is a major theme with that 26. And it shows where most of the responsibility of a relationship falls on her shoulders. But she wants it that way. That Capricorn South Node. Mercury conjoined to Neptune. Neptune's at the 26th degree as well. You could throw Venus in there as well. So she has a stellium involving Mercury, Neptune, and Venus in Sagittarius. So this represents her being a rap artist as her claim to fame. Like I said, men in the music industry, artists, musicians, but also where she attracts ex-cons like Kenneth. She can attract moochers, drug addicts, alcoholics, drug dealers, crazies, thieves, and men who want to be kept. Now, she can be too idealistic when it comes to love, having a love will conquer all approach, living in a fantasy world. She could be very generous. So one of my astrology students, she was like, oh yeah, Nicki be taking this dude on exotic trips and stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, that's that Mercury conjoining Neptune in Sagittarius all day. Taking lovers on exotic trips. She might even buy a lover an exotic sports car. Plays the role of savior. And where she can have a lover under her spell, whether it's sexually or figuratively in some type of way, or it could be literally through like magic spells. So she may actually cast love spells to keep a lover devoted to her, since Mercury rules her 8th house via Virgo. So she is one of those West Indian chicks, so I wouldn't be surprised if she is well versed in the art of love spells and magic and all that stuff. Now, Mercury and Neptune in the 11th house. This reinforces the friendship theme, but also where she's seeing Kenneth as a science project and maybe other lovers in her life. Also, this can point to a union of convenience. Love seems far out of reach for Nicki with this conjunction in the 11th house. So she tries to create it instead, like she's Dr. Frankenstein, hoping to create an ideal man, but she could be creating a monster instead. So here they are right here. She all like, my love spell got him like, he does seem like he's kind of under her spell, but you can also look at it as he's very content with being a kept man. He's very content with allowing her to take the lead. As you can see, he looks rather passive. He is a 7 in terms of his birth number. He has Sun opposition Pluto, which can make him very dependent upon others for his livelihood, for his mere existence. And again, I'm seeing that dusty kind of look. Y'all know that look that I'm talking about. Now, again, I'm not trying to dog the brother out, but we already know his history. She does look like a witch with this hood on in this picture. And just look at her expression like, I got him. Mercury, ruler of the 5th. Mercury and Neptune are squaring her Virgo moon. So you could see this as her attempts to help or fix a lover, but where it could blow up in her face. The same could go for love spells. She could perform a love spell, but that blow up in her face, where, you know, he just turns insanely jealous. Virgo moon in the 8th, ruling the 6th, does make her prone to spell casting. And the help she gives could often be taken for granted with this hookup, with this square between Mercury and Neptune and the moon in Virgo. Like I said, that reinforces that whole Sagittarius sun ruling the 7th house. It's in the 11th house of entitlement. So this is a build a brother aspect. This is also a collect call from Pookie aspect. Speaking and writing Kenneth while he's in prison. So this is represented by this square right here. Like, she can't be close to him because he's in prison and she's doing all this writing, or they're doing all these phone calls and stuff. Now, also with this square, you got to look at it as where she just can't let things be, creating frequent upsets with a lover. So she could put a lot of stress on a lover. Also, where she's attracting lovers who are inattentive to her needs, and where she tries to keep tabs on a lover a bit too much because she's very insecure with that Virgo moon. She's hella nitpicky, which creates constant friction, and she may even try to dress her man. Like, and I could see, like, she is, you know, dressing him. Also points to the criticism she received from women when she announced her marriage to the world, or her engagement, and her follow-up response. Now, some of her family members may have even expressed their concerns when she got back with Kenneth. Now, a lover could isolate her from her family with this hookup, because Mercury and Neptune would represent the lover, moon in Virgo is her family. So she has Libra on the 9th house cusp. 7th degree of Libra. So yeah, there goes that 7 again. So she has the 7th degree of Aries on the 3rd house cuts, 7th degree of Libra on the 9th house cuts. She has the 7th degree of Gemini on the 5th, and the 7th, and I'm using Placidus here, and not equal house, and 7th degree of Sagittarius on the 11th. So she has some strong 7 energy in her chart. And don't forget, her sun is at the 16th degree of Sagittarius. That whole fantasy theme is strong with her. So 7th degree, when we're talking about the 7th degree of Libra on the 9th house cusp, I'm seeing that as the Pygmalion syndrome. Pygmalion is about this story about this guy who created this statue or whatever, and it came to life, and then he worshipped it or whatever. Also, the My Fair Lady syndrome. If you never seen that movie, that's basically about this man who upgrades this woman and teaches her how to go from being like a hood rat to a lady that has all these manners and who's classy and all this type of stuff. So that 7th degree of Libra, but just Libra alone on the 9th, this could produce that type of syndrome. The pedestal syndrome as well, where you put a partner on a pedestal. Now, Nicki wants a partner with whom she can grow and expand her horizons, and this could show where she's attempting to improve the life of a partner. Long distance travel is a major theme, also a long distance relationship. In Nicki's case, with him being upstate, locked down. Freedom is another theme, and also Libra on the 9th can bring the possibility of legal troubles, because that's like double legal themes with the 9th house and Libra. Now, when Libra is on the 9th house cusp, a relationship could be plagued with challenges regarding freedom, spiritual beliefs, and political leanings. A relationship can bring tests of faith, generosity, and your willingness to forgive. So, Kenneth may be taking her through some serious spiritual testing, especially if they get married. Now, with this hookup, it looks like she was like, look, you got to put this jacket on, baby, because it matches with my Fendi blouse and my Fendi cardigan or whatever she's wearing. And here she is thinking, like, he better not embarrass me out in these streets, because you know he still got some dust underneath his fingernails. And she knows that. But this is the whole Pygmalion syndrome. The My Fair Lady or the My Fair Negro syndrome. She's trying to upgrade this Negro. She's trying to upgrade him to fashion him into her ideal man. And the reason why she chose him is because they go way back. Capricorn South Node, Mars and Capricorn, Gemini on the 5th. So Venus is ruling her 9th house. Venus is at the 24th degree of Sagittarius in the 11th house. That 24th degree, that's as good as you can get in terms of money. So that's good for money, especially Venus at the 24th degree of Sagittarius. So 24th degree is love, money, and creativity. And it shows where her partner can benefit greatly in terms of a financial sense. And Venus in Sagittarius can cause Nicki to be very idealistic about a relationship or marriage. Realism and practicality could be lacking. A relationship or marriage could be an adventure, but not always in a good way. And again, this reinforces the possibility of legal issues. A partner could have a hard time fully committing or settling down, with Venus in Sagittarius ruling the 9th. And Venus in the 11th, relationship of convenience again, and a relationship that consists of a solid friendship. Those themes resurface. And a partner couldn't feel entitled to what Nicki has due to that 11th house influence. Venus squaring the moon. This could deal with problems with living with a partner day in and day out. They may end up sleeping in separate rooms at some point. And it shows where Nicki's needs are not being met in a relationship, or where she has a hard time getting her needs met in a relationship. It shows where she could be impractical when it comes to relationship choices, where she could be lacking wise judgment and discernment. Traveling with Kenneth could be very stressful, especially when she is on tour. So he could be interfering with her ability to make those coins at some point. Partner may not be fully integrated into her life. This also could produce the other woman theme. Challenges with establishing consistency and a routine with him. Oh, speaking of the other woman theme, my student also mentioned that there was these tweets, I think, that came out, or some type of post on social media dealing with his ex-stripper girlfriend, and where he assured her that he was only with Nicki to get that bag. Now, y'all let me know if y'all heard this too, but if that's true, that's very telling, and it fits Nicki's chart. Challenges with establishing consistency and a routine with Kenneth. He could also be messy and unkempt, disorderly, and this can produce distrust. Nicki's Venus is in quincunx to her Chiron and Taurus. This could deal with her always traveling, which could take a toll on her home life. Partner could spend up a lot of her money, can manifest as the lack of a prenuptial agreement. It is indicative of her failure to secure her assets before marriage. If she's actually married, I don't think she went through with the marriage yet. She is the type that will tell lies. That love will conquer all bullshit can mess her up financially. So again, that Venus in Sagittarius is very much about that love will conquer all, that whole idealistic perspective on love. And the fact that her Venus is in quincunx to Chiron and Taurus, she could get messed up financially as a result of being married to Kenneth if she's not careful, or some other man like Kenneth. Now Venus conjoined to Neptune. So, that whole Barbie persona, that shit is real. Like, not saying that's who she really is, but that's one of her alter egos, because that Venus conjoined to Neptune is very much about that whole Barbie doll image. Now, this is also a millionaire aspect. It also shows where she is prone to be with a partner who's in the music industry, or who is musically gifted, who is an artist, what have you. Reinforces the imprisonment theme, with Kenneth being an ex-con. Can manifest as a kept partner. So again, that kept partner theme resurfaces. Also, a partner could be under her spell or in bondage to her. It points to that savior theme, romantic getaways. However, also impractical choices in mate, and where she could be doing too much. Sorry for the typo, doing too much, even resorting to magic spells in order to lock a partner down. This is her wanting to lock a partner down. So here he is again, giving off that dust. And I'm seeing this as him saying, yeah, my bitch take care of me. What? She's obviously in charge, as you can see in this picture right here. Pictures a picture can tell 1,000 words. Isn't that what they say? And she's like, yeah, bitches, I got myself a Ken doll. I make him do what I want him to do. But like I said, this could backfire on her if she's not careful. Going back to Venus. So her Venus is running parallel to Eros. Eros is at the 11th degree of Capricorn. So with that, I'm looking at that as sex sells. That's part of her gimmick, being all sexually liberated, being very outwardly expressive of her sexuality. It also points to her having strong sexual needs. And she may have had to have sex with someone in the industry, some industry bigwigs with this because of the Capricorn influence. Venus is running parallel to Isis. Isis is at the 12th degree of Aquarius. When I saw the 12th degree of Aquarius and I was like, she in Aquarius rising with that Saturn and Scorpio, I was like, that's a large collection of dildos, vibrators also. But on the flip side, it can also deal with money that is split up because Venus rules money. Venus rules partners. So it can deal with a partner being entitled to a portion of what she has, or even where a partner starts putting money away on the side as a little come up. But trust and believe, this deals with her collection of dildos. Now, I don't even know if she has a collection of dildos, but this is what it implies. Because Isis does deal with phallic symbol, phallic images, penis even. Venus is conjoined to Sappho. So here's a quote from Wikipedia. Early in her career, Minaj claimed to be bisexual, but eventually clarified her sexuality in a Rolling Stone interview, saying she just did that to get attention. I think girls are sexy, but I'm not going to lie and say that I date girls. Now, that's questionable, though. I would think that she probably did do a lot of, engaged in lesbian sex, maybe back in the day or whatever, and she could have even had a lesbian girlfriend at some point. But Venus rules partners, so this can also deal with where she attracts a partner who goes both ways, if she's not owning this energy herself. So y'all let me know what you think about that. But Sappho is asteroid of homosexuality. Let's get into her Mars, because Mars also represents the type of men that she could get with. So her Mars is at the 28th degree of Capricorn in the 12th house. That 28th degree is known as the trusting lamb number, where she could be too trusting. And it could represent men who are looking for a free ride or a come up. That's the free ride degree. 10th degree is a free ride degree as well, but especially the 28th degree. 12th house, this reinforces that incarceration theme. Also, it reinforces the kept man theme. And where she could have a male in a passive position or under her spell, so to speak, reinforces the theme of men in the music industry, but also where she could attract the mooching, lying, thieving types of men as well. Now, she could shoot herself in the foot when it comes to men. Sorry about the typo. And Mars in the 12th, this is that ZooKeeper theme. Again, Capricorn South Node in the 12th. She thinks that she can rein these men in and have them under her control. But again, one false move and it blows up in her face. So it's like she'll go down into the trenches with these men. She'll be that ride or die chick. But at the end of the day, it's so that she can be in control. So she will go after these men that are passive, these men that aren't bosses, these men that could be molded, that could be groomed. That's her Virgo moon. That could be groomed, that can be fashioned into what she considers to be her ideal man, but that man will remain under her thumb. That's what she's going for. So she mentioned back in the day, oh, I used to be all about pleasing men and all that stuff, but it still goes back to, okay, if I please a man, if I give him everything he wants, I can have him under my control. So she is quoted as saying, how fucking dare you talk about lowering standards? She said this in response to people giving her flack for getting with Kenneth. Again, I'm seeing this dustiness just coming out. It's just like, even when you clean the dude up, you could still tell, you could see that desperation look in him, and you could see that hunger in him. And some people just, I hate to say, some people just have that look of poverty that just never goes away. And he just has that look. He has that look of that dirty old boy in school that, you know, people would make fun of. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to make jokes, but he's just giving off that vibe of the little boy in school that, you know, would come to school with dirty clothes, and, you know, people would talk smack about him, and then he started to get into fights and stuff and became this tough dude because he was tired of getting picked on because they was talking about his run over sneakers and all that type of stuff, talking about his airwalks and shit. So Mars. So her Mars is squaring Pluto. This is the rapist aspect. So this can result in Nicki attracting men who are rapists or sex offenders. She could attract abusive men, men who will use and exploit her, men who are dependent, criminal, and parasitic, men who get caught up in drama, issues with power and control, even during sex. Now Mars rules the third house, so she can be blinded by the D, blinded by the dick. Men may have a hard time keeping up with her sexually. She did say she needs it 3 times a day. She may even be into that pegging where she plays the role of the man sexually when they get down. She might have fantasies about that. A man could interfere with her career and tarnish her reputation because both Mars and Pluto are ruling her 10th house. Also, this points to Roman Zolansky, that persona. She claimed that she had a demon inside her, and it was her twin brother. She claims it's her twin brother, whose character she assumes when she's angry. This is very much Mars square Pluto. And she is quoted to saying, "And if you're not familiar with Roman, then you will be familiar with him very soon. He's the boy that lives inside of me. He's a lunatic and he's gay. And he'll be on there a lot," talking about her album when she was releasing that. I think it was that Pink Friday album, or maybe the Roman holiday or something. Also, Mars square Pluto points to the death of her cousin, the murder of her cousin, because Mars is ruling the third house. Third house deals with cousins. So in July 2011, her cousin Nicholas Telemaque was murdered near his home in Brooklyn, New York. But Mars square Pluto also points to her brother Jelani's rape charge. So he raped a minor. I believe he's doing time for it now. She paid for his attorney, if I'm not mistaken. That would be Mercury conjoined to Neptune, ruling that 5th house, Gemini on the 5th, where she's still riding for her brother despite what happened. She helped him get a lawyer, all that. Mars square Saturn. So she has some tough aspects involving her Mars. Issues with trying to control and influence men, but it can backfire in her face, like I said. Could show where she attracts men who have a hard time being self-sufficient and where all of the responsibility falls on her shoulders. And this shows where she really can't deal with strong, independent men. And it shows where she can also denigrate men, and maybe even publicly. And my student mentioned that too. This can point to S&M type sex. She may like to be put in restraints, or she might like to put a man in restraints, maybe into pegging, all that. A man may have a hard time keeping up with her sexually, or keeping her sexually fulfilled, just as with Mars square Pluto. I also see this aspect as quid pro quo, or this for that. You do this for me, I'll do that for you. You please me sexually, I'm gonna buy you that new whip. You do this for me, you marry me, I'm gonna make sure you have everything a man could want. Now, she may have waited for Kenneth to get out of prison, denying herself sex, with Saturn ruling the 12th, Mars in the 12th. And also, this shows where a man could interfere with her career, just as with Mars square Pluto. So Saturn and Pluto are conjoined. It's just that Saturn's in Scorpio, Pluto's at the 28th degree of Libra. That 28th degree reinforces that whole come up theme. Now, Nicki Minaj, this was quoted from someone that tweeted this. Nicki Minaj works with pedophiles and rapists, defends her pedophile brother, and is now dating a convicted rapist. Y'all still stand? Can't relate, wrote one Twitter user. So she's been getting backlash for some of her decision making, some of her choices. Now, she can't help what her brother did, but the fact that she's still supporting her brother through helping him with his attorney fees, that's questionable. Her Mars is in sextile to Jupiter and Scorpio. This is where Minaj has been called one of the most influential female rap artists of all times. That Scorpio is the influential part. Artistic collaborations. This also points to her ass and hip augmentations and how it helped her career. It also shows where she attracted a huge following fan base, Jupiter ruling the 11th house. And this shows where she gets with men who can help her grow, and also reuniting with a man from her past, ability to wield power and influence over men, sexually, financially, magically even, and where she could have some men eating out of the palm of her hand like she has with Kenneth right now. Her Mars is in trine to Chiron and Taurus. This is her signing with Young Money when she first started out, so that helped her to come up quickly. And this is an award-winning, record-breaking aspect, and she has won quite a few awards. So according to Wikipedia, throughout her career, she has received numerous accolades, including 6 American Music Awards, 11 BET Awards, 4 MTV Video Music Awards, 4 Billboard Music Awards, a Billboard Women in Music Rising Star Award, and 10 Grammy Award nominations. Minaj has sold 20 million singles as a lead artist, 60 million singles as a feature artist, and over 5 million albums worldwide, making her one of the world's best-selling music artists. So that very much is Mars, trine Chiron, and Taurus. And this can show also where her man doubles as her bodyguard. That's what my student told me as well. She was like, oh yeah, he's like her bodyguard too. Also, men benefiting financially by getting with Nicki. You can look at that. Now I see him as saying there's that jacket that she had him wear again. That's that same day where they had the matching ensemble. Now, as you can see, she dresses him. She said, no, this is him. I feel like this is him saying, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just along for the ride. So he looks very unsure in himself right here. And he looks very demure, again, very passive. He looks very cleaned up, though. I'll give him that. He actually kind of looks like he's approaching kind of like music industry status. He's giving me a little like Dame Dash vibes here. So I'm not seeing the dust right here, not so much. But damn, if he don't have little baby man hands. Okay, let me go on. Here are some other aspects that are interesting. Now, her Juno is conjoined to the Arabic part of Imprisonment. This shows that Kenneth is the one because he was the one locked down. And supposedly she had been waiting for him and all that type of stuff. She was reported as saying that she was going to get with him, get married to him years ago. So you could look at that as the one having a prison record. There's a chance he could even go back to prison for something. Her Juno is conjoined to the Arabic part of catastrophe. So Kenneth is a train wreck waiting to happen, or anybody that she gets with in a serious relationship or marriage, you could say. Also, that goes back to that sun being at the 16th degree. 16 is a degree of catastrophe. Also, Pluto opposition Arabic part of daughters. So if she has a child, it will more than likely be a daughter. This could point to custody battle involving a daughter and possible child support obligation. Could even manifest as some sort of tragedy, especially because Pluto is also opposing her Arabic part of sickness. So this could bring possible back problems when we're not dealing with the child situation, because Pluto is in Libra, so that Libra rules the lower back. She could end up with a pelvic disorder. This can also produce reproductive issues. Now, she was quoted as saying, now I wouldn't exchange my life for Armani. And it's interesting that he has an Armani exchange shirt on right here. Isn't this crazy? But here it is. So again, it's showing she is taking the lead. He looks very dusty here. He looks like a lowlife here. Y'all let me know what y'all think about how he looks in this picture, but I'm getting lowlife vibes. I'm getting moocher vibes. I'm getting dusty vibes. I'm getting ex-con vibes. But also, I'm getting the type of vibes where he could be very abusive, especially because he feels like he can't be a man in the relationship. But I'm also getting the man-child vibe. So remember, going back to Leo on the 7th, I said that you could either get with a boss, a leader, powerful man, or you could get with the man-child. And he is giving off those strong man-child vibes right here. Here are some other aspects. Saturn conjoined to the Arabic part of bondage. I forgot to fill in this part, but I was looking at that as her perhaps being in bondage to record executives or the record industry in particular, being in bondage to her career or profession. But this can also point to an issue with her father, because as you see right here, and I forgot to do the bullet points on this one, but as you can see down here, Saturn opposition Phaethon. Minaj's father was addicted to alcohol and other drugs and had a violent temper, burning down their house in December 1987. That Phaethon is in her 4th house. And when I first saw that, I was like, did somebody try to burn down her house, or will they? And that's when I read about her father, and that's when I inserted this quote, and I was like, boom, there it is. But this is an interesting tidbit about Nicki Minaj. Saturn conjoined to as you can see, I was rushing because I made a mistake. So Saturn is conjoined to the asteroid Ceres, but is also conjoined to her Arabic part of servants. So she was quoted as saying that she worked as a waitress at a Red Lobster in the Bronx, but was fired for discourtesy to customers. She said she was fired from at least 15 jobs for similar reasons. So Saturn being conjoined to both Ceres and the Arabic part of servants points to this right here. Ceres is an asteroid that could deal with being a waiter, waitress, restaurant hostess. So I just thought that was interesting. Mercury and Neptune conjoined to Arabic part of profession. It shows her rap career, so that's real sweet. And then Uranus is conjoined to the asteroid Hera. This could deal with jealous, vindictive friends or associates. Can also mean that she is very jealous and vindictive, since Uranus is her chart ruler. And here is a bi-wheel of the 2 charts put together. This is where I'm going to stop. And y'all let me know if y'all want me to do a video on their synastry, because this video has been long enough. But hopefully y'all been whooping it up in the chat room. I'm going to be in the chat along with you guys. So I might do a part 2 dealing with their synastry. But as you can see, Kenneth Mars is in her 6th house. That's the house of help, also the house of servants. But we're not going to get into that right now. But let me know what you think in the comments section, and I'll be back with some more videos. And let me know if you want me to do part 2 where I get into their synastry. But can I really be sure that the birth information that I found online is really him? Maybe I should look for some prison records or whatever like that. But y'all let me know. Y'all could do some of the legwork for me, shoot. But anyway, I plan on going live soon. Also, I am holding a sale, 20% off phone readings and tarot readings just for this weekend only. Little sale for the summertime. So you might want to get in on that. And also, I just wanted to sing the praises of this line of hair care products that has been created by one of my clients. She recently sent me a whole mess of her hair care products. So when I go live, I'm going to be presenting them and singing the praises of them, because I'm very much into hair care products. You should see my bathroom underneath my sink, the bathroom cabinet full of hair products. But ever since she sent me her Annabelle's Perfect Blend hair care products, she sent me the leave-in conditioner, hair mask, shampoo, Creme Gel. I love that leave-in conditioner in particular. So ever since she sent me those are basically the only hair products I've been using. So I'm going to post the link to her Instagram account. She be holding nice sales and stuff like that. Definitely follow her on Instagram. From there, you could go to her website and check out her line of hair care products. Again, it's Annabelle's Perfect Blend. And when I go live next, I'll be showing you her products, and they smell terrific. So stay tuned. I might do part 2 with the synastry, but let me know what you think. I'll be back with some more videos. Peace and many blessings.